Am I the antagonist for telling my spouse's cousin she shouldn't have thrown a gender reveal party? Both me, 29 years old female, and my husband's cousin Lena, fake name, 27 years old female, are pregnant. I'm due in late May while she's due in August. My baby will be my second child. I have a 3-year-old son, and hers is her first. Lena and I aren't particularly close, and to be honest, I'm not fond of her. But since we're both pregnant, we've been talking more often than usual. It was during those conversations that she expressed wanting a baby girl. She specifically said she couldn't see herself raising a boy. Last month, Lena hosted a gender reveal party and found out she's having a son. She was visibly disappointed after finding out the sex of her baby. She threw on a fake smile during the actual reveal, but didn't keep it up for long. For the rest of the party, Lena remained frustrated and was cold and short with everyone who tried to congratulate her. I don't know if Lena told anyone else that she wanted a girl, but her disappointment has gotten pretty obvious. Since her party, she's been less excited about her pregnancy. We've been speaking less because she doesn't even want to talk about her baby anymore. Her sadness has earned her some sympathy and support from my in-laws. My baby shower will take place this weekend. I'm having a girl, but my husband and I decided to wait until birth to reveal that. As such, none of my in-laws have been informed. A couple of days ago, Lena called to ask about my baby's gender. She said that if I'm expecting a girl, she won't come to the baby shower. When I asked why, she said she's still mourning her daughter and doesn't want to be reminded that she's not having a girl. She also said that since she'd shared her reveal with the family, it was only fair I told her. I reminded her we weren't telling anyone until birth, but told her she was welcome to avoid the shower if she wasn't comfortable attending. Lena continued to pressure me to tell her, but I stood my ground. After some back and forth, she told me I was being inconsiderate as I knew how devastated she'd been. She said she deserved to know if I was about to rub my happiness in her face. That's when I ran out of patience. I told Lena that if having a boy was that awful to her, she shouldn't have thrown herself a gender reveal in the first place. I said that she could stop celebrating her pregnancy if she wanted to, but she can't dictate what I do about mine. Lena is furious. She told my in-laws that I was kicking her out of my baby shower. I told everyone the truth, but many are still on her side. They're saying that it's rude of me to dismiss Lena's pain, and that I should be more graceful towards her. My husband is completely on my side, as is my brother-in-law. As much as I don't think I was wrong to stand my ground, I do recognize that her feelings towards her baby are none of my business. I was both frustrated and exhausted at the time, and I know I would have reacted differently otherwise. Am I the asshole? While it's understandable that Lena may feel disappointed, it's ultimately her responsibility to manage her emotions regarding her baby's gender. You are within your rights to maintain the surprise for your baby shower, and Lena's reaction does not justify demanding information from you. Am I the antagonist for replacing everything of mine my partner breaks or damages with money from our joint budget? My wife has no concept of how to care for things. She buys cheap items and replaces them when they break or wear out. I choose to invest in high-quality items that I can reasonably afford. I was aware of this aspect of her behavior before we got married. I communicated to her that I didn't want her mishandling my belongings, so I asked her to leave my things alone. Initially, this arrangement worked well. However, issues arose when her low-quality non-stick pans started sticking due to her use of metal utensils on them. Subsequently, she used my pan from Williams-Sonoma and scratched the ceramic coating, necessitating a replacement. A similar incident occurred with my laptop, which she spilled wine on and subsequently used, as she had damaged her own by sitting on it after leaving it on the couch. These are just a couple of the prominent examples that come to mind. After receiving our tax refunds, we each kept a portion and deposited the remainder into our joint account. My wife was surprised by the lower balance than expected. I reminded her that I had to replace the items she had damaged. She expressed disbelief at spending $200 on a pan, suggesting $10 would suffice. I challenged her to demonstrate, and after frying eggs, hers burnt and stuck, while mine did not. She attributed this to factors beyond her control. I questioned her on who had damaged my 5-year-old pan, to which she had no response. Subsequently, she has been using her own cookware passively-aggressively and preparing subpar meals. However, she did use my Le Creuset Dutch oven to cook a pot roast for her parents visiting tomorrow. To illustrate the cost of replacing the Dutch oven, I sent her a link to the product page. In the meantime, she continues to use her old slow cooker, which resulted in a previous incident of spilling gravy onto the heating element. I have no intention of seeking a divorce, so please refrain from such suggestions. I simply wish to determine if my expectation for her to use my belongings with care or replace them if damaged is unreasonable. My wife perceives my stance as petty and extravagant. It seems like your differing approaches to caring for items have caused some tension. While it's important to respect each other's preferences and boundaries, finding a middle ground where both of you feel heard and valued could help prevent further conflicts over material possessions. Am I the antagonist for firmly telling my mom that my child will never be named after her child? Before I was born, my parents had a daughter, my sister. She died when she was 2 years old while my mom was pregnant with me. Ever since the death, my mom has been stuck in grief and has been unable to move on in a healthy way. My dad left when I was a baby, and my relationship with my mom was rough. Growing up, I heard all about the sister who died before I was born. My mom would have us in extreme mourning on the anniversary, my sister's birthday, and the anniversary of the day she found out she was pregnant. She would pull me out of school and I couldn't do anything those days. We didn't celebrate Christmas because my mom said there was nothing worth celebrating without her. My mom would get upset I wanted to celebrate my birthday. Then she would throw parties and have photos of my sister displayed around the house and yard for everyone in attendance to see her. She told me it was also a way for me to have my sister at my birthday parties. Whenever I had friends over, she would talk an obsessive amount about my sister, making them uncomfortable. When I started dating my wife as a teenager, I did my best to keep her away from my mom. The first time they met, my mom talked about my sister the whole time, showed off her baby pictures and home movies of her, and spoke nothing about me. My wife asked what I was like as a baby and asked to see photos of me, but my mom couldn't stop talking about her most precious little girl. When I moved out of my mom's house, our relationship strained more because I refused to stop my life on those 3 days anymore, and I also started to celebrate Christmas. My mom was furious. She yelled at me over the phone, calling me a monster and questioning how I could care so little about my deceased sister. She believed I shouldn't act like those days were normal, or like we had anything to be happy about at Christmas. We were very low contact for a few years, and then she reached out to me. We talked, and I told her she needed to get help because I could not live like that anymore and couldn't live with feeling like I didn't matter to her. She apologized and promised she would be better, and she was, until now. My wife and I are expecting a baby girl, and a few days ago, my mom declared that she couldn't wait to meet baby Ella, which was my sister's name. I told her we weren't using the name, and my mom freaked out. She insisted that I couldn't possibly have a little girl and not name her after my sister. She claimed that Ella deserved to be honored and remembered and questioned how I could do this to her and my sister, asking where the love for my sister was. I asked her to stop, but she said I had to use the name and that she would tell my wife the same thing because her daughter deserved that. I told her I would never name my daughter after hers, and that after seeing her reaction to me not using the name Ella, I regretted us getting back in touch because she would never stop wanting everything to revolve around that loss. My mom called me an evil person for not wanting to honor my sister in that way. Am I the antagonist in this situation? It sounds like you've been dealing with a lot of emotional weight from your mom's intense focus on your deceased sister, and it's completely understandable that you want to create your own traditions and memories with your new family without feeling pressured to name your daughter after her. In this situation, it's important to prioritize your own feelings and the happiness of your growing family, while also acknowledging the significance of your mother's grief and trying to find a balance that respects both your past and your future. Am I the antagonist for grounding my child for how they acted towards my ex's nephew? My ex-wife, 31 years old, and I, 31 years old, have one kid together, our son, Edison, 12 years old. We divorced 2 years ago when Edison was 10. We have joint custody over Edison, and sometimes I'll be at my ex's family events that Edison wants to go to, like birthday parties. Edison has a cousin, Ayrton, 11 years old, who turns 12 next month, and his family had the birthday party yesterday as they're going on a trip in May. Ayrton and Edison go to the same school. Ayrton is in 6th grade and Edison is in 7th grade. They go to a Catholic middle school despite our family being atheist. The best schools in our area are private Catholic schools. Many students who attend them are atheist or Jewish, and that's where I met my ex, despite us both coming from atheist families. Ayrton was also raised atheist but now identifies as Catholic. Ayrton being the one out of the nieces and nephews to become religious makes a lot of sense. He's always believed in good luck charms, like a keychain a friend gave him, and Maneki Neko cats, Japanese cat figurines that allegedly bring good luck, and genuinely believes they're good luck. We've had issues with Edison in the past mocking Ayrton for his belief in the Maneki Neko cats, and told him to respect his cousin. Edison is into science like me. I'm a high school chemistry teacher. I've told Edison to respect others' beliefs even if they're not rooted in science. We ate dinner and had cake at Ayrton's parents' house, and Ayrton started to open up presents. He got this vintage basketball jersey he wanted and took off the shirt he was wearing to put it on. This revealed the rosary he was wearing under his shirt. It was a cute little necklace with basketballs as the rosary beads. Edison almost immediately made a joke about Ayrton being a fag for wearing the necklace. He asked Ayrton if he was becoming a girl. He kept doing this until we left. Edison has a very extensive history of bullying that includes being expelled from multiple preschools and elementary schools. He is constantly in detention or getting suspended now that he's in middle school. This behavior started long before our divorce, but my ex blames the divorce and doesn't really believe in psychology, so he only sees a therapist twice a month during my weeks. My insurance from work covers this, and Edison will always complain about going, but I feel it's important for him. Edison's most recent bad behavior has included using slurs and other concerning behavior, which I've mentioned to his therapist. On the car ride home, I told Edison he was grounded and told him he'd give me the phone once we got home. He started to text my ex, and when I got home, she was calling me. I answered the phone and she said I had no right to ground him for this because it could hurt his relationship with Ayrton, and Ayrton isn't my nephew. She said that I have no right to ruin the relationship between Edison and her family members. Am I the asshole? It's evident that Edison's behavior is concerning and needs to be addressed, especially given his history of bullying and recent inappropriate comments towards Ayrton. Grounding him and seeking help from a therapist are steps in the right direction to address this behavior. It's crucial to prioritize Edison's well-being and address his actions before they cause harm to others. Am I the antagonist for posting a photo of my neighbor's kids in a private neighborhood Facebook group? I live in a densely populated suburban homeowners association-run community. I have like 40 houses within a 5-minute walk from mine. There is one large Facebook group for the entire community with around 4,000 members, and a smaller one for my part with about 180. They are both private and require proof of residence for admission. I only mention this because it is relevant to the situation. For like a year now, there have been a group of kids using my property as their personal hangout since I am at a corner spot of 3 roads with a large area of grass and steps. While those bits are the homeowners association's property, everyone signs an agreement with the HOA to maintain their adjoined common area. If it was just the hangouts, I would be fine. Kids are kids and all that. However, they dump their trash, leave their toys, turn over paving stones, damage plants to the point of needing replacement, all on both my lawn and the HOA's lawn I am responsible for. I have not said anything to anyone about it because of the nasty attitudes towards complaints I see in those Facebook groups, and I do not vibe with my neighbors here enough to know most of them. Whole other story. I reached a snapping point though, when 2 of the younger kids I sort of recognized from this group smashed a glass ornament on my front porch, then ding-dong ditched. I could care less about the latter, but that glass ornament was something sentimental I'd saved from my mother's house. I tried to run out and talk to them, but they ran for the woods, so I didn't see what house they belonged to, and I don't personally know their parents. I posted a photo of them from my doorbell camera to the smaller of the Facebook groups, with their faces partially blurred. All I said was that I didn't expect a reply, but this has been going on for a while, and could whoever please talk to these kids, and maybe inform the parents of the other kids who these 2 hang out with. 30 seconds later in rapid succession, I got a reply, a direct message, and a knock at my door. The mother of the boys yelled at me for having posted their photo to the entire internet, and went on for about 10 minutes straight without letting me get a word in edgewise. I took down the photo as asked, but I never got a chance to explain the rest of what I was hoping to achieve. She said something about how if I wanted recourse then I needed to be a neighbor and magically know who to talk to, I guess. Also, she weirdly kept pushing offers to pay for what they broke, which was pointless and I refused money. Of what I did manage to say to her, I told her that I understood her privacy concerns, but that's why I blurred their faces and kept it to that smaller group, but she still claimed it was public to the whole internet. It's not. The other was mentioning that her own Facebook profile was public with photos and names of her kids, seen from her direct message. She now thinks I am stalking her, that I am claiming the whole area as mine. I wasn't, and weirdly still hasn't changed her profile privacy. Am I the jerk here? It sounds like you've been dealing with a tough situation with the kids using your property and causing damage. While it's understandable that you reached a breaking point and wanted to address the issue, posting a photo without consent can be seen as crossing a boundary. It's important to find a balance between protecting your property and respecting privacy, so perhaps a direct conversation with the parents involved could lead to a more constructive resolution. Am I the antagonist for not taking my parent back in? I left my mother moved in with my family about 2 years ago. It was an adjustment for her because it became my house, my rules type of thing. It took some adjusting because she always wanted to steamroll my wife and do things her way, but I reminded my mother that we let her live here. My sister Jane needed to find a place to live and was one of the reasons my mother became homeless, trying to help keep Jane afloat into adulthood. Jane has 4 children but has custody of 2. These children are not well behaved and has been in and out of the foster system and has behavior issues. Jane comes over to our house in the middle of the day, something not allowed. She has her 2 kids with her on a school day. I and my family sees this on a Ring camera. My mother knows we have one. My family and I are at work and school, but we see her enter. What happened next is I see Jane carry thing out with the help of my mother. Food, bedding, and couple of my kids' toys, like loads up Jane's car. I call my mother. No answer. So my wife calls 911. Calls it a burglary IT. The police show up and arrest Jane, and while my wife was on the phone, my mother as well. My mother just started giving our stuff away to Jane. We let my mother sit in jail while my family and I discussed what is going on and what is wrong with my mother. Bail was set and now my mother has been in jail overnight and she called crying. We do not want her back at the house and she has given the sob story of Jane is going through a rough time. I have heard that story my entire life and my mother swore she would not get involved with Jane's issues when she moved in and not allow Jane into our home. It's almost 48 hours go by of my mother's jail and we decided not to bail her out. We contacted a church group that she occupied helps and they set her up in a temporary shelter for women and took some of my mother's things to it, planning on storing the rest. Then we bailed my mother out. She complained ahead of time needed a shower. How could I take so long? She was hungry and all sorts of verbal abuse. I took her to the church shelter for women and left her with one of deacons of the church. My mother realized she wasn't moving back in with us. There is just one uncle from my dad's side left that said we'll take my mother in, but he lives out of state, and because of my mother's pending changes, she cannot leave the state and the shelter is temporarily. My wife said she is not taking my mother back in, so I don't know what to do with her. It sounds like you've been dealing with a challenging situation regarding your mother and sister's behavior. It's important to set boundaries and prioritize the well-being of your own family, while also finding a suitable solution for your mother's living arrangements, perhaps exploring other family members or social services for support. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.